Could you really live full-time on a boat under 30 feet? I'm here to tell you absolutely yes. Today, we're diving into my top 5 pocket cruisers you can actually live on. These little legends are tough, cozy, and seaworthy enough to carry you across oceans or just let you drop the hook and call it home. Whether you're dreaming of a simpler life or planning your great escape, these boats prove you don't need big to go big. Let's kick things off with a boat that's become a cult classic among solo sailors, the Flicka 20. There's something magical about the Flicka 20. She's small, yes, but she carries herself with a kind of confidence and grace that turns heads wherever she goes. I've seen folks in marinas walk right past million-dollar catamarans just to take a closer look at this little gem. At 20 feet, she's about as small as you can go while still having a real liveaboard setup, but somehow, she never feels cramped or compromised. Step below deck and the first thing that hits you is the standing headroom. On a 20-footer, that's almost unheard of. The space inside is laid out with real care. There's a galley with a stove and sink, a small marine head, storage tucked into every corner, and enough room to actually stretch out and relax. I spent a few weeks living aboard one while sailing along the coast of Baja, and I never felt like I was camping. It was a real home, just floating. The full keel gives her a steady, sea-kindly motion. She doesn't pound or slam, even when things get choppy, and she's heavier than she looks, which adds a sense of security when the wind starts to rise. I've been in squalls on larger boats that felt more skittish than this little pocket cruiser. Her cutter rig lets you balance the sails easily, and she'll self-steer with a wind vane or even a bit of creative bungee cord work on the tiller. One of the things I loved most about the Flicka 20 is how simple she makes life. You can't bring too much stuff, so you learn to value what you've got. You become more in tune with the boat, the sea, and yourself. There's a quiet rhythm to life aboard that suits this boat perfectly. Early mornings with coffee in the cockpit, slow sails along quiet coasts, evenings anchored in peaceful coves. She's not fast. If you're trying to make quick passages, this isn't your boat. But if you care more about the journey than the speed, she'll take you anywhere with grace and dependability. There are stories of Flicka 20 sailors crossing oceans, Pacific crossings, circumnavigations, solo adventures that most folks wouldn't dare attempt on a boat this small. And yet she keeps showing up, doing the work, and bringing her people home safely. If you're after a boat that feels like a little wooden cottage on the water, charming, tough, and full of character, the Flicka 20 might be exactly what you're looking for. She asks very little and gives back a whole lot more. The Pacific Seacraft Dana 24 is what happens when someone tries to build a serious blue water cruiser in a small, manageable package and actually pulls it off. This boat is compact, sure, but every inch of it feels like it belongs to a bigger, tougher vessel. The first time I stood on one, I felt like I'd stepped into a boat that could go anywhere, and then actually wanted to. Everything about the Dana is solid. The hull is thick, the deck hardware is strong, and the full keel gives her that good, stable motion offshore. She doesn't rattle or flex in heavy weather. You feel tucked in and protected, like you're part of the boat instead of just riding on top of it. That's something you don't always get with smaller cruisers. Below, the layout is genius. You've got a real V-berth that fits 2 people, a compact but functional galley with room to cook real meals, and a cozy saloon with warm wood tones that make it feel more like a mountain cabin than a sailboat. There's also a proper head and a nav station, not something you usually find on a boat this size. I once lived aboard a Dana for an entire winter, docked up in the wet Pacific Northwest, and never once felt like I needed more space. It was snug, sure, but never tight. She sails with confidence, not speed. In a breeze, she finds her groove and just keeps trucking. In light airs, you'll wish for a bigger sail plan, but when it starts blowing, you'll be glad for her sturdy feel. I remember one trip, broad-reaching in 25 knots, reefed down and still doing 5 knots with the boat barely heeling. Everything was in control, and I trusted her completely. The Dana is a dream for solo sailors too. Everything's where it should be. You can reef from the cockpit, the companionway is safe and protected, and the tiller gives great feedback without being a handful. She tracks well, heaves to easily, and handles like a proper little ship. If you're the kind of cruiser who wants to go far but doesn't want the hassle or expense of a big boat, this is one to look at seriously. She's the kind of vessel you can sail around the world, or just live aboard comfortably while working a dockside job. She doesn't shout or show off, but she's always ready. Just you, the wind, and a boat built to take care of you. The Pacific Seacraft Dana 24 is not just a boat, it's a commitment to a life that's slower, deeper, and more intentional. And that, to me, is what cruising is all about. The Cape Dory 25D is one of those boats that just feels right. She's simple, seaworthy, and carries that unmistakable classic charm that turns heads in any harbor. At 25 feet, she's right in that sweet spot where you get enough room to live aboard comfortably, but she's still small enough to handle solo, maintain on a budget, and sail into the skinny water where the big boats can't go. The D in the name stands for diesel, and that little inboard engine tucked under the companionway gives her a serious boost in self-sufficiency. You can motor quietly into tight anchorages or upwind in a pinch, and it sips fuel compared to modern cruising boats. And when the sails are up, she moves along with a quiet grace. Not fast, but steady and true. That long, full keel tracks like it's on rails, and she heaves to beautifully if the weather turns sour. Below decks, the layout is cozy but well thought out. You've got a V-berth forward, a compact galley, a marine head, and enough seating space to actually relax. The cabin has a warm, old-school feel, lots of teak, soft white trim, and just enough light through the ports and hatches to make it feel inviting. You don't get a ton of headroom, but what you lose in height, you gain in character. I spent a summer cruising one of these through the islands of Casco Bay. We hit some rough chop, anchored in quiet coves, and even spent a few rainy days holed up with books and tea. She never felt like she was struggling to keep up. Everything was simple and worked as it should. Maintenance was minimal, and with the boat's small systems, I spent more time enjoying the cruising life and less time stuck in the engine room. The Cape Dory 25D is perfect for someone who values reliability, classic looks, and simplicity over flash and gadgetry. She's not going to break speed records, and you won't find flat-screen TVs or hydraulic winches, but you will find a quiet confidence and a boat that'll keep you safe, dry, and happy no matter where you sail. She's the kind of boat that lets you focus on what really matters, being out there, moving with the wind, and calling the water your home. The Albin Vega 27 is a cult favorite for a reason. She's one of the few boats under 30 feet that you'll hear serious offshore sailors speak about with real respect. This little Swedish-built cruiser has crossed oceans, circumnavigated, and been home to thousands of minimalist liveaboards, and she does it all with the humble confidence that bigger boats often lack. At 27 feet, she's got a bit more room than most pocket cruisers, and it shows below deck. The interior is laid out in a way that just makes sense. A V-berth up forward, settees that double as extra berths, a decent galley, and even a chart table you can actually use. It's tight, sure, but functional. With a little organizing, you can comfortably live aboard for the long haul, and plenty of folks have. I met one Vega sailor in Panama who'd been living on his for 5 years, cruising slowly and cheaply through the Caribbean and Central America. The rig is straightforward, the sails are easy to handle, and she balances well underway. That fin keel and skeg-hung rudder give her a nice mix of performance and durability. She's quick in light winds and steady in heavy ones. One of the things people love about the Vega is how predictable she feels. You don't get any nasty surprises, just a boat that sails the way you hope it will. She also has one of the strongest communities out there. Whether you're refitting one in your backyard or halfway through a passage, you'll find other Vega owners who've been there and done that. There's comfort in that kind of shared experience. You know that if you're out there in the middle of the ocean with nothing but a headlamp and some epoxy, someone else has been in the exact same spot and figured it out. The Albin Vega 27 is for sailors who want to go far on a small budget, who don't mind getting their hands dirty, and who understand that the most important part of the boat isn't the size, it's the soul, and the Vega's got soul in spades. The Contessa 26 has a reputation that reaches far beyond her modest size. This is a boat that's earned her stripes the hard way, by actually going out there and doing it. She's crossed oceans, rounded the Horn, survived storms that sent bigger boats running for cover, but more than that, she served as home to countless sailors who wanted to keep it simple, sail far, and live close to the sea. She's a classic full-keel sloop with that unmistakable sheer line and a proud little transom. From the outside, she looks like what many sailors imagine when they close their eyes and dream of escape. But, make no mistake, she's not just a pretty face. The Contessa 26 is a serious offshore boat, proven time and again by the folks who've taken her to the far corners of the world. Below deck, it's definitely cozy. This isn't a wide-beamed liveaboard palace, but what she lacks in volume, she makes up for in function. There's a V-berth forward, a compact saloon, a small galley, and just enough space to move around without bumping elbows constantly. I lived on one for just under 2 months while hopping down the coast of Portugal, and while it wasn't roomy, it worked. You adapt quickly, you get smart with storage, and more importantly, you spend more time on deck, in the cockpit, and in the world outside your cabin. Under sail, she's a dream in heavy weather. That long keel and deep hull give her a comfortable, sea-kindly motion. She doesn't get knocked around easily, and she tracks like she's on rails. Sure, she won't beat modern fin-keel boats to the next port, but she'll get there with everything intact, and without beating you up along the way. I've seen folks in 25-knot headwinds grinning from ear to ear on a Contessa 26, while other boats were reefed down and clawing for comfort. And there's a special kind of pride that comes with owning and living aboard a boat like this. You know you're part of something, part of a quiet, stubborn tradition of sailors who believe that small boats can do big things. You don't need a floating condo to chase the horizon. You just need a boat that's built right, handles well, and treats you with respect. The Contessa 26 is all that. She's for the sailor who wants to keep things pure, who'd rather rely on wind and instinct than push buttons and tech. If your dream is to live light, sail far, and feel every mile of the journey, the Contessa 26 might be your perfect companion. So there you have it, 5 pocket cruisers that prove you don't need a big boat to live a big sailing life. Each one of these little legends has carried dreamers across oceans and into quiet anchorages where the real magic happens. If you're ready to downsize the boat but upsize the adventure, any of these could be your ticket. Until next time, fair winds, and I'll see you out there.